Alright, so today we're going to be doing some tracing and kind of go through a little bit of explanation for anybody who's beginning or just getting started in Adobe Illustrator. And sometimes it's a little intimidating when you don't know what's going on, or just starting a whole new software, which is true. I've learned that a long time ago as well. But now, with practice, you can get here too. So to get started, here is the interface. When you first click on it, to create something new, we just click on here. This is your recent files. You can also open here, and then these you don't have to worry about until later on. So let's get right into it. So let's create something new. For sizes, you don't have to click on anything here. You can kind of customize your sizing here as well. We'll leave everything here because we're just doing some tracing today. We'll get more in depth into that later on. If you like this one, then I'll keep going. But I usually just pick a normal size paper, and you can double click that, or click this and click create, which is right here. But let's double click it. And here we go. Did it work? There we go. Yeah, okay. It's a little slow. Okay. Then you get a sheet of paper size right here. If you ever want to change this, you'll click this Artboard tool right here, which we don't have to go into right now. But okay, tracing. The first thing you're going to do is find something you want to trace. So, we're going to be doing an elephant footprint, which there's a lot of motifs out there, but let's do what is the most popular that we usually see all the time. So you can pick from anything here, but you're going to be tracing it. So let's pick this one. So just copy image. And let's say you want to put the image on here, so you just copy paste, which you can just do control V, and that will give you there. And then you'll have the picture here. So once you have the picture here, you can do a couple things. You can do two ways of tracing. The first way is, pretty much clicking on the picture, and then Adobe Illustrator will actually suggest you to image trace, which is right here. It will convert image into tracing objects. So let's try that for you to look at. So, and there you go. And most people are actually happy with this. Some people aren't. For me, I don't like it too much because I'll show you why. So let's go into advanced tools on the image trace, and it should show up in your sidebar here. If it doesn't, you can always go to your window right here, and then it'll actually give you image trace right here. All right, cool. Okay, so that will show up there, but if not, just click on this, and let's adjust these to give you the best ways. So you kind of want to adjust paths to give you a little bit more of a crisp line work. So you want the smoothest line work. Noise, you can eliminate the noise as much as you can. So what we're trying to do is getting the smoothest we can out of this. Okay, so, and then once you're done with that, you could click expand up here, which it'll convert all of this white area and black area into shapes. So there you go. And all these little blue dots in here, all these guys, these are all anchor points, all right? So if I zoom in on that, they're all anchor points. So if you unclick that on the side, you won't see them, but once you click the image, it'll actually show you the anchor points. So how do we get rid of those anchor points? So you could click on here. It's already been expanded. So we want to ungroup it. So let's ungroup it, which is right here. You can click on this side where it says property, or you can go right click on here once it's selected, and you can click ungroup as well. So two ways. There's always two ways most times to do this, and you'll get something like that. So, and then you'll get some little like artifacts in here that are just from the cutout from expanding, and you'll see that if I move it over here. So they'll be white, and there you go. You got some elephant tracings, elephant footprint tracing on there. So they're all white, and then this is the black. This is the negative space. So let's move all this to off the artboard so that I can show you what traced and what didn't. So everything traced it just fine, and some people are happy with this, like I said, and then some people aren't. So everything turns into a shape in Adobe Illustrator, no matter what it is. If it's traced, it will turn into a shape, just like all these little circles that were in the image. So that's one way of doing it, and you'll end up with pretty much this, and you can be happy with that and turn that into SVG and cut it out on the Cricut Maker or Silhouette or whatever machine that takes SVGs. Another way to do this would be to actually trace it in Illustrator with the pen tool. So we'll do the pen tool as well. So let's copy that image again and drop it in here. So we'll drop it in here, and then what I like to do is I like to just turn it on to its side here as best as you can. So let's turn on the rulers by doing Control R, or you can go up to, I believe it's Windows and let's see here. Nope, it's View. So View, and then you go to Rulers, and then you go Control R. So it says Hide Rulers or Show Rulers. So we use these rulers to kind of give you a better split section or a good half, so that just something to work with, because we're only want to do one side. Once you get one side, you pretty much have the other side, because we're going to make a symmetric, we're going to mirror it over. So I'll show you that as well. But you want to kind of get that as kind of straight as possible to your liking. Kind of like it like that. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to lock this down so that we're not selecting this. So you can do that in two ways. You can create a new layer, which is over here on this side. If we create a new layer, So let's create a new layer and then put the lock button on there. Then you can't click on this anymore. You can't select that. So if I'm trying to select it, it's not gonna be selected. Another way is if we're on the same layer, let's say this is selected now, you can go up to, I believe it's object, and then you can press lock. Okay. And then once you say lock selection. Okay. It's also a control 2 for hotkeys, but this way works as well. So you see the little like lock button right here. If we zoom in, there's a little lock button. Hopefully you can see that. But the image is now locked, and now we can kind of work with it however we want. So there's two ways, but I'm going to create it on a different layer just because I like doing that. And I'll call this layer image, and then I will call this layer graphic, just for short. And then we'll use the pen tool, so kind of hover around the pen tool. Right here, you can also press P as a hotkey. And if you do, then cool. So you kind of want to start right in the center here to get your center line. Yeah, and then just go and you click, and then you take these little hands that come off of there and just kind of center it where you want it. Okay, so kind of follow the image around, and then once you get around, just keep going. If it kind of turns like this, just go over to this and then click this little switcheroo button. Okay, so it'll swap the fill and the stroke. Okay, so let's swap that, swapping it over. So we swapped it, now it's just a line. Okay, it's just a stroke. So everything's in strokes now. And then there you go. Yep, you just continue it right into it. There's no wrong way of doing this, so because we can always fix this later on. It's mainly up to your preference, and this is my preference of doing it because you'll end up with less anchor points in the long run. And if you're trying to transfer it onto a machine that's reading all these anchor points, that machine will be so much more happier counting less of these anchor points in the future if you decide to throw it onto something that reads SVGs. So once we hit this middle line here, just connect that. All right, and then connect this middle one here to anchor. There you go. And then if you want to, you can swap that into a shape. Yeah. So that's what you get in tracing that, and then you kind of fix it and edit these to make it a better shape. Okay. So we want to kind of fix it and clean it up to give it a really nice round feel for it, because we kind of want it to be a really nice motif. So it'll take extra time, but it'll definitely look better than the image trace version. Okay, so the image trace version is quick and dirty, which is nice, but sometimes it's just not the best way, in my opinion. So, my opinion, I actually like doing this better just because you'll end up with a more unified roundness and thickness around the whole thing. So, yep. Kind of eyeball everything and make that really nice, tight lines in there. And if you like it thicker, you can make it thicker. Yeah, you just have a lot more control over this option, which is why I like this. So that's why I use it for most of what I do, and it's easier. So especially if you draw. So if you draw and you want to trace your drawings and you want them to be exactly the same, then this is the best route you can go. And there you go. If you can see that, cool. And then how do we get it to be the same on this side? So you kind of want to just grab that, and then what I did was I grabbed it. So you press Alt and you click and you grab, it will copy that right over. Cool. So let's try that again. So press Alt and then click over. All right. Okay. And then once you got it, you can flip it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, we're going to go to transform, and we're going to go reflect. And it's already on the setting that will flip it right on its vertical. Okay. So it's vertically flipping it so that you can do that, and just press OK. And then you're going to align this as good as possible. You see how it aligns, it'll snap right to it. And so there you go, you got yourself the first starting of the elephant footprint. Okay, so, and what you can do is you can go to global edit, and you can edit both of these at the same time if you missed something. So kind of wanted this a little bit more round, so I'm gonna kind of tweak it a little bit just to kind of show you what you can do after if you forgot something. So let's do that. Give a little tweak here and there. It allows you to just kind of have full control over this. So there you go. And then once you like that, great. I'll always make a copy of this. So you could copy, and then you could kind of just drop it anywhere. Okay. So just so that you have something there before we kind of merge it together. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to merge it together, which we're going to go to Pathfinder on this side. If you don't have Pathfinder on here, you can also go to Windows, and then you can go to Pathfinder. Okay. So Windows will always have your little tabs that you want over here. Okay, so Windows, Pathfinder, and then you get your options over here, and we're gonna unite it. So unite that, it's one shape now, so there's no more line in the middle here when you're hovering over it. So that has become one shape, and then we're just gonna round this out a little bit on the top and the bottom. Give it that nice round feel. There you go. There's the starting of it. And if you want this to continue all over here, then we kind of want to specify a center. So we need to specify a center first, which we'll do with a square. And let's see. So we'll take a guideline here, and we'll take a guideline here, so that we could kind of have a square. And then we'll start a square right where it intersects. And we'll do that. So, and then we'll swap since we just want the line, the outline. And then once we have the outline, we can right click that outline and make it a guide. Okay, so we're going to select it to make a guide so that it turns into a guide. And then we're going to use that to have our center. Okay, so this is our center now. So we want it to center to there. So we're going to unlock, let's see here, we're going to unlock guides. And then we're gonna bring this guy. We're gonna bring this guide right here to the center of that square. Once we have that, then we could kind of just rotate this around the center and we'll have all four. And how do we do that? We're going to click it and then we're going to go over here to rotate tool. Okay, so we're going to click the rotate tool and we're going to press alt. We're going to press alt first and hold it down, and then we're going to click the center. And then it's going to give us rotate. It's going to say, hey, do you want to rotate? And you're like, yeah. And then we're going to go, okay, we're going to say 360. And then it's going to ask you how many. And then you're going to press over what? We're going to do over 4 because we want 4 of them. And we're going to press copy. And then we're going to press Control D. Okay. All right. So copy and then Control D. As many as you need to. And then that's all you need. And you pressed it 3 times. You could press it a 4th time just to bring it back up here, but you don't need to. So we have it uniform, and that's pretty much the elephant footprint at its core. And then you can do just, you can pretty much do just 1/4 and then repeat that step all over again. So let's do that so that you can see that step all over. So we're just going to do 1/4 of the elephant footprint, and then we're just going to rotate all of that, and then you'll have pretty much a uniform line. Okay, so we're going to make this a guide so that we have our quarter. And this is the quarter we're going to do, okay? So right over here, this side. And we're going to do it according to these guys right here. So, but an easier way could be just to offset it. Let me try this really quick. So, yeah, that might be. So, what we'll do is go up to Object, go to Paths, go to Offset Path, click Offset Path, and then you see how far it goes out. It's saying it's 0.1389. So let's do 1/8 of an inch. See how that looks like. So 1/8 of an inch looks pretty close, but let's try to get it down to where it's pretty uniform. So right there is about where we kind of want it. Okay, let's see here. So let's go down just a little bit more to 0.75. All right, let's see. 0.75 looks really good, really close. So we're gonna press OK. So you get all these shapes, okay? So giving you a little shortcut, rather than having to trace all over, we made all these shapes by offsetting it. And now we're gonna go to Pathfinder and we're gonna unite all those shapes. Now they're all one shape, okay? So they're all one shape. And then we're gonna press divide, and then we're gonna press unite again. Get rid of that. There you go. Now you have that. And then we're gonna swap that to have that shape be the outside. And then we're just gonna have another, we're gonna repeat that step and offset it by 75 again, so that we have an outside, okay? And then we're gonna take this one, and we're gonna click this one. We're gonna click the both outer two, and then we're gonna press minus. So it's gonna minus this one from this one. So, and then we'll show you that with these shapes being filled. So we're gonna click this one, and we're gonna click this one, and then we're gonna press minus. And so what it does, it minuses this whole front one from this one, okay? So, and then we're gonna do the same thing over, okay? So let's get those shapes ready first, though. So I just undid that because what I wanna do is I wanna figure out the last ring that we need, okay? So we're gonna swap that again. And then we're gonna offset this. And then we're gonna offset it again. It's as easy as that, okay? So why do we offset that? Because we're gonna make this second ring on the outside, okay? So how the elephant footprint has one whole ring on the outside, and then it's gonna have another one on the outside of that ring. So that's two. So we're gonna minus it from the front. So I'm gonna show you that again with these swap. So I'm gonna go back to swap and fill stroke, and I'm gonna swap them. You don't have to, I'm just showing you, okay? So I'm gonna minus it from the front, and then this, I'm not gonna go to swap. I'm just gonna minus it from the front and show you that it did that automatically, okay? So it actually did that automatically, and then I will go and swap and fill. And there you go. You have a whole elephant footprint, and then you could kind of make it whatever color you want. So any color you wish. So we're gonna lock this guide, and then we're just gonna make it black so that you can see how it looks like. And then we're gonna turn this off, and there you go. You get a whole elephant footprint. And how long did that even take? Like 30 minutes, 30 minutes of your time, but look at how uniform that is compared to, the tracing. So let's look at the tracing. I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna move this image right here. I'm gonna move this image to the side, and then I'm gonna bring the tracing down here in red, or actually we'll bring it in like blue or something. We'll do gray. So here's the tracing. Here's image trace versus building it on your own. So this is image trace, traced right here, and over here is pen tool and offsetting. So comparing those two, it'll depend on what you like. So turning off these guides, hide those guides, and here you go. Turn that off. So depending on what you like, you know, what can you do? So pen tool is super effective, and it's great because you can kind of fix the lines wherever you want to. Very uniform. I reflected everything, so let's kind of run through all the things that we did so that you could kind of go back and understand what we did. So let's see here. So what we did was we trace using pen tool, and then 2, reflect. What is it? Reflect object. Let's see. We merged object, and then we rotated while duplicates while creating copies. And then we offset those, and then we offset twice for outer rings. Okay. Whoops. My tools are going crazy. Okay. So what we did was we pretty much, I'm just going to throw this on the side right here. We pretty much traced using the pen tool on this guy and reflected the object over and merged it, which gave us 1. And then we rotated, creating copies. So we created copies around a center, okay? You need the center in order to create the copies uniformly around the center. And then once you get the center, we offsetted all these 4 shapes, and all the 4 snail shapes. So we offsetted that, and then we created these 2 from those offsets by minus front, minusing the front. So by minusing the front, and then that was pretty much it. So, and so the time it took in real time was 30 minutes. So creating this was like a 30-minute kind of project, but that's with experience and me just walking you through it. So hopefully I was clear enough, and if you didn't catch anything, hopefully just go back in the video and kind of go through the steps again. I'll try to do some timer marks and allow you to just click back to these points of time so that you can kind of get those correct and just practice this step and allowing you to create more in the future rather than just relying on image tracing. Image tracing is great, but then it just doesn't allow you to have great things. So the pros and cons between image tracing and pen tool and offsetting is I'll show you right here. So when you click on these and you highlight it, you end up with a whole bunch of these like little anchor points if you don't pen tool it yourself. And it can be it could kind of bog down transferring it into like a SVG or like a PNG or anything, well, more like a SVG. When you're transferring it onto a Cricut maker or a Silhouette machine, Silhouette, or a CNC or a laser. So all these points are always read through those machines, and it can bog down if it's counting too many of them. You'll notice that your machine's probably loading a lot longer. Reason why is because it's probably counting all those little points. So you do end up with some points here, but it's more accurate. You can always go and simplify those points by going to paths and simplify. So if we do that, we still get here, but then you don't want to simplify too much because you might lose some detail. So we can kind of go just to 90 and click that. And if it still looks good with no crazy alterations, then just press OK. So and then if we go to simplify image trace, we simplify that. You know, we still get that, but then let's try to keep most of the details in there by putting 90. But you know, you're still going to end up with you know, an image trace that looks a little bit more wavy everywhere and not super uniform. So those are the pros and cons, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, then like and subscribe to the channel, and hopefully, you know, if you do, then I'll definitely make more so you can learn and be educated and, you know, just keep creating. So don't unbelieve yourself and stay awesome.